Fungus called Candida causes yeast infections. A helpful analogy for understanding yeast is to think of producing a loaf of bread. I know this is kind of gross, but for the sake of a useful analogy, let's run with it. Please note that Candida is not the same kind of yeast found in bread. This analogy demonstrates general yeast behavior and characteristics. In baking an ordinary loaf of bread, the most important factor in making the bread behave the way you would like is to understand how the yeast reacts with other ingredients and conditions. The key ingredients in bread when it comes to influencing yeast are sugar and flour. Most of the time, the flour used in bread has a high level of gluten. When bread rises, it is due to the reproduction of yeast. Yeast consume sugar and gluten, creating a byproduct, carbon dioxide. This byproduct is what causes the bread to rise, as small air bubbles disperse throughout the dough. If the dough is left in a warm, moist environment, the yeast will continue to reproduce and the bread will rise. When yeast experiences ideal temperatures between 90 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it grows rapidly. Since the human body is about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, it naturally provides a great environment for yeast in terms of temperature. As we all know, the body is comprised mostly of water, which makes it a moist environment for yeast to grow. When yeast is exposed to high levels of gluten and sugar, the likelihood that yeast will thrive and grow in the human body increases. Understanding what causes a yeast infection and how yeast behaves in general are key components to understanding how to prevent one going forward. On the most basic level, naturally occurring bacteria and yeast in the body can be influenced into a state of imbalance. This imbalance can be due to a variety of causes, allowing the yeast to take over and beneficial bacteria